Case file. Case file date June 24th, 1981. Location Birmingham, Oregon. Subject Jamie Smith. Entity. The following report commissioned by Smith.
We have a legend in our town. One of those little local folk tales. The Lightning Man.
That's how my brother's note began. It goes on to talk about him being stalked by this monster and then eventually being killed by it. Thing is, our town has no legend. There is no Lightning Man, and my brother isn't dead. Certain parts of his story do match life though. He had just moved into a new house on the edge of town, and his description of the house is spot on. After writing this note, Randy went into a coma and was taken to a hospital on the other side of town. For a few weeks I just accepted it like everyone else, but then I started seeing things too. Short flashes of vivid images, and then those turned into watching whole events unfold. In these visions I saw life as if Randy had actually died. I experienced loss, I grieved, and I learned to live without him. It was actually eerily similar to how I was feeling with him currently. With him in a coma, I had been grieving and feeling loss. It was then that I decided to actually investigate this whole thing and see what was up with this hospital. We already had a main hospital in the center of the town, and it seemed to be more than adequate to be of service to the city, plus we had several private practitioners of medicine that catered to the older folks around town. Why build another one and put it a bit out of the way? That sort of screamed fishy to me. Local records did not have much to say. On the outside, it was just United Birmingham General Hospital, a weird name as well. Almost gave off the sound of a church to me. You know, minus the General Hospital bit. So I had to ask around. Turns out that the hospital was actually a bit of a folktale with the kids and teenagers now. Apparently people around town were going into comas and then they'd be taken to this hospital and were basically never seen again. There were variations of it and such, but it all shook out the same. People in the 20 to 30 year old range knew next to nothing about the place like myself. Anyone older than that would not talk to me about it at all or were extremely hostile to me. I actually had some police officers come to my house and asked me to stop stirring up the community, as they said, and that they were going to let me go with a warning because of my recent loss. I had exhausted all other options, so I could either give up and be done with this whole thing, or I could attempt to sneak into United Birmingham. I honestly think I would have quit there, but my visions were getting worse. I was now acting extremely paranoid and was locking myself in my house for long periods of time. I think days or maybe weeks straight before I'd come out again, and I started seeing the Lightning Man haunting me. I had looked out a window and see these glowing eyes peering in. It was truly horrible. I was getting the feeling that when he caught me in my visions, I would probably go into a coma too, so doing nothing was never an option. I took a few days to look the place over really well. It didn't have huge walls or tons of security or anything. I noticed one security guard on the premise at all times and doctors going in and out all day with a couple staying through the night. From which rooms still had lights on at night, I deduced that they must stay in one section of the hospital all night with the guard going general rounds every few hours. My plan was to go in at night. The windows weren't fastened all that well and some doctors left them cracked due to the heat. I just have to pop out the screen and slip into the building on the side that the doctors didn't stay at. After that, I just searched the building, see what I could find. I got in without a problem and found myself in an office. I kinda searched it a bit, but most of the documents I found were just budget reports. I noticed they were getting a huge amount of cash from some organization, probably a government branch of something. I left that room and found myself in a huge hallway. None of the room names really caught my interest until I passed a hall that said Patients P through T. I thought that Randy was probably in there and I wanted to see him. Plus, I wanted to know what they were doing with the patients that they kept there. I ended up in a surprisingly large room filled with beds and machines. Each patient appeared to have a gas mask-like thing over their heads with hoses going to the mouth and wires to the back of the neck. I eventually found Randy. I kinda broke down for a minute or two just seeing him like that. We were actually close siblings and it hurt to see my little brother look more machine than man. I couldn't even see his face. There was a clipboard attached to his bed, so I picked it up and scanned through it. There was a lot of information that I didn't even begin to comprehend, like medical dosage and other medical jargon. A few pages back, I started finding stuff that actually related to Randy's notes and experiences with the Lightning Man. I think this is a good time to mention that I never actually told anyone that I'd read Randy's notes. I was the one that had gone over to his house to find him in a coma, and I noticed the notes in the other room after I had called 911 and perused them. I set them down and had never mentioned them again. At the time I was too stricken with grief to even think about them. From what I was piecing together, I think I would have been in a lot more trouble if these people knew I had read the notes at the time. The clipboard kept mentioning something called converging point and dimensional bleeding. The way the paper kept using the terms, I think that the doctors thought that something extra-dimensional or something was the cause of Randy's coma. The dimensional bleeding could have been the visions I was getting. So does it mean that the events of the Lightning Man were occurring in another dimension? And the converging point could be the moment you fall into a coma when the Lightning Man kills you? I don't know if it has any truth to it, but that's what I got out of the reports. I scanned around the room at the various other patients and noticed that I knew several people there. They were people that I was certain had gone off to college and settled down elsewhere. Their families never let on that anything had ever happened to them. At that point I heard steps coming my way and I ducked under one of the beds. Several minutes passed and no one actually came into the room, but it was enough that it had spooked me. I ended up sneaking back out the way I came and went home to have a restless night of sleep. The next day, I went over to the parents' house of one of the girls I had seen in the patient room. She was a year or so older than me, and last I knew she was off at college still to become a doctor. Her dad answered the door and I immediately brought up his daughter. His mood changed instantly and he told me to leave and was starting to close the door when I told him I had seen her in the hospital last night and asked him why everyone thought she was off at college still. He opened the door back up and his mood had changed again. He looked both scared and beaten and made me promise to never repeat what he was about to tell me to anyone else. His daughter had gone off to school for a while like I thought, but while she was away she had slipped into a coma. The doctors at United Birmingham offered the man and his family a large sum of money if they let her stay at the hospital and acted like she was still away at college. He said that he suspected that his family wasn't the first one to get a deal like this, and that I shouldn't ask too many more questions in case it got dangerous for his family or me. I said my goodbyes and sort of just trans through my next few days just trying to get a grasp on reality. Then I ended up having another vision. In this vision, the Lightning Man made its way into my house and actually attacked me. I struggled to run away, but in the end, it touched me and sent currents of electricity through my body. I felt myself losing consciousness as the pain coursed through my body, and then I woke up. I woke up with a mask strapped around my face, feeding me terribly tasting liquids and oxygen. I was in the hospital. I panicked and struggled to pull the mask off. It caught on the wires that were now embedded in the back of my neck and caused me even more pain. I stopped freaking out and slowly pulled the wire straight out. It hurt, but I was pretty sure it wasn't doing any permanent damage to me. After the way out, I slowly unfastened the mask and removed the tubes from my mouth. They were actually fed down my throat a good deal and I started gagging as I removed them. With my eyes not unhindered by the mask, I noticed I was in the patient's room again, in a bed next to my brother. I had actually lucked out. It was night and there was no one around to see me freaking out, or so I had thought. Turns out the machines I had been attached to was freaking out and sending out alarms. I waited behind the door until several doctors got close to it and pushed it open hard. I'm pretty sure I broke the closer doctor's nose and the second one was too focused on his colleague to follow me. I managed to make it back to that office I had snuck in previously and used that window to escape. Paranoia set in, so instead of trekking back to my house I slowly snuck through town to my parents' house. They were surprised and scared to see me. Apparently I had gone into a coma myself about 2 weeks ago. I was shocked and upset to find out I had been out for 2 weeks and even more shocked to be awake again. I remember the Lightning Man touching me in that last vision. My parents told me that they had been bribed to keep it quiet that I had gone into a coma and that I had received money from United Birmingham. I had them sit down and told them everything I knew at that point. pretty much everything that I'm telling you now. My dad kinda sat there and thought for a bit and then told me that I could hide out with them for the next several days. He had a few friends that he could call that thought could help. Those friends directed him to a government group that specialized in stuff like this, and so here I am. The only other information I can give you is that my visions have started up again. I think that the lightning man didn't end up killing me, but the contact from him made the vision in me pass out, which led to my short-term coma. But he's getting close to me. I think I only have another vision or two before he catches me, and then I'll probably fall into a coma again. So you can help me, right?
T's memo. I wasn't planning on contacting you this soon, but it is what it is. You shouldn't be attacked again. I'll make sure of that. You just focus on getting these out. I'll be in touch soon.
So, apparently it's been a while, right? A month or so. I think 3 weeks since I've actually replied to anything on here. Well, let's go over this then. I mentioned several times that I was going to be working my days and our co-workers' days for a week, which ended up turning into 2 weeks. So initially that stopped me from being on no sleep, but something happened. I got amnesiated or something, but it wasn't like JRPG protagonist amnesia. I only lost my memories when it came to no sleep, the case files and Reddit in general, and whatever event it is that caused me to forget it in the first place. Well, today I got on my computer to see this case file in a Word document on my desktop, and I read through it. It sort of jogged some memories, but not at the same time. It was like I remember that I had forgotten something, so I sat on it for a few hours and then I looked at a weird title, which is definitely The Lightning Man. In caps slipped into the phrase Echoes of Another Dimension. Seeing The Lightning Man jogged some more memories, and I got on Reddit to see that I had an account on here. At the time I didn't remember even having an account, so I looked at the post that I had made and read through all the case files. It took me a little longer, but eventually I pieced together my memories. Well, I checked my laptop that I was storing the case files on, and it had nothing on it. I wasn't going to post anything and was planning on just letting this go. I mean, it would have been pointless to post on here that I had been attacked and lost the case files. You guys could forget about me and I'd be safe. Well, nope. I had gone out to get groceries, and when I got home there was a flash drive plugged into my computer with the archive window open. So here I am. I'll at least write out the next case file while I'm figuring out what to do. Sorry for any alarm or anger I may have caused. I definitely never meant it. Stay safe, no sleep. Secrets. An added note. Thinking about it, I'm actually not even sure if no sleep was the extent of my memory loss. I haven't remembered that I've forgotten anything else, but how would I really know anyways? Yet another note. Who the fuck is T? And why is he talking to me through weird case files? Or at least I assumed it was to me.